Eliza Blue, Tim Pool, Sam Smith at the Grammys, Chinese air balloons, different debris in the atmosphere. All of those stories obfuscating from one very important thing. 4 people are being detained with no evidence, and their names continue to get dragged through the mud. This story... I think about this situation quite a bit. It really does bother me. Like, one of the women was hospitalized. I think it was Georgiana who ended up getting hospitalized because the conditions in these Romanian jail cells are so poor. She had to go to the hospital. Tristan, early in detainment, the other Tate brother, he too had to go to the hospital early in the detainment. Within the next 2 weeks, we'll probably hear something about if they're going to be released on the 27th or if there's going to be another 30-day extension. Chances are, I really do hate to see this, and it hurts to say it, they're probably going to get another extension. They have up to 6 months. 6 months, an additional 120 days, the Romanian authorities do, to keep all 4 of these individuals detained for reasons so they can assemble a case. And while I know that they're not being detained for the words that Andrew and Tristan said, the charges are what they are, and we've been over those ad nauseum. But that's not where a majority of the backlash lies, ultimately. It comes from misinformed parents, parents who just, if we're being completely honest, are absentee parents, letting their children raise themselves in front of a screen to begin with. And then also teachers. Why do we care about teachers? You see what they're trying to do inside of their classroom? If they're not fighting with their students, they're putting up stupid banners and having them pledge allegiance to the pride flag instead of that to the United States of America. The fact that they're worried about the scary influence of Andrew Tate, I would consider that a good thing, because you're a regular workaday teacher is a pseudo-communist, and that pseudo-label is falling off more and more every single year. So the full court press, the full propaganda campaign against the Tates, it's been going on for a while, and it's been a second since I've had an opportunity to check back out on this, mostly because, well, it's just really too damn depressing, at least for me. I cover this stuff all the time because I don't see any reason. I legitimately do not see any reason to be keeping all 4 of these individuals kept behind bars, especially the girls. But you know exactly why they're keeping all 4 of them in prison. Tate brothers, Tristan and Andrew, they're not going to break under these conditions. Not to say that the women are weak or anything like that, but there's a reason that they snatched up all 4 of them and not just the brothers, because they were assistants. Apparently there were other assistants as well, and apparently there's a bunch of stuff that the courts just don't care about. They're just more concerned with pushing a narrative and to get this generation, the generation that has heard the words of Tate, back on course. Get away from, the scary bald man who just wants you to improve your life. No. You're fine the way you are. What's that? You want to get big, strong, and rich? No. That's misogynistic. That's toxic misogyny. What's that? You want to have a girlfriend that loves, cherishes, and is deferential to you? No. You're just a bigot. You're a sexist. You're a misogynist. You just clearly hate women. When I listen to the 2 opposing parties in this situation, what each of them are purporting, it is so patently obvious which side I side with, but because it's so patently obvious, that's why they want guys like that to be discouraged, because the Tate situation here, it's just simply an avatar, also being used to scare everybody else. You don't get to talk about that stuff anymore, because you see what happens to the Tates, we can snatch you up at a moment's notice. This is meant to have a cooling effect, and I'm not going to let it happen. Absolutely not. I don't care. They're good men with a good voice and a good message. And so let's get up to date on the propaganda, shall we? Anyways, Andrew Tate is slyly slithering into impressionable teen and tween minds, and adult minds as well. Actually, just kind of reconfirming the things that I've been thinking about for a while. But hey, man, whatever. With his toxic misogyny and bizarre conspiracy theories. Like what? Can you point to any, or do you just want to paint them like that? Because that would be rather slanderous, don't you think? According to exasperated educators and parents. Why do I care what teachers have to say? One teacher at a high school in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, told the Post about a sophomore who recently echoed Tate's chauvinistic views, claiming men need to act as an alpha figure. Tate's never said that. Okay. And all times and unilaterally take care of women. Okay. And what's wrong with that? Oh, you're being a chauvinist for saying that you need to be nice to girls? What are we doing? But I feel like, Merch, this student didn't totally understand that's not really what Andrew Tate is preaching. Oh, listen, Your student listened to Tate, but you didn't actually hear what he was saying. Let me reinterpret that for you. The math teacher told the Post, it's not about protecting women, it's about controlling them. Take care of women, provide for women. That's really just, that's just brainwashing them, because there's so many successful cases of women into their 60s that are strong, independent boss babes that just don't, they definitely don't cry themselves to sleep at night into their box of wine as their cats claw up whatever's left of their furniture. Yeah, it really makes sense, doesn't it? Former kickboxing champion, once known as King Cobra. No, he was known as Cobra because of his upright fighting stance and his ability to throw a jab. It's not about protecting women, it's about controlling them. Oh my God, he had reinvented himself as a macho self-help guru for men. I guess that's one way to put it. Looking to emulate his flashy lifestyle. What? His polarizing views. You've already poisoned the well sufficiently. You just haven't got to any of his views. You're about to get to one, but just the selective quoting is hilarious, including slamming women as intrinsically lazy and insisting victims share responsibility if they're sexually assaulted. Yo, you always go back to that tired example. Elaborate on it. It's the hubristic approach of somebody theoretically walking naked down the middle of the street. Walking down the middle of the street at 3 o'clock in the morning in the ghetto and not expecting anything wrong to happen to you. Like, I'm a 6.5 foot dude, doing some change, strong, run every single day. I'm a fairly physically capable individual. There are certain places that I won't walk unstrapped by myself. And if something happens to me, knowing that I have the utmost personal responsibility for everything that I do, you bear some sort of responsibility. And because of the gynocentric social order that we live in, if anybody questions any movement of a woman, well, there you go. You're automatically labeled as a bigot and what else? Self-professed misogynist. Have we got to that part before? Yeah, okay. But women are intrinsically lazy. Have you ever lived with women? I'm just saying, man. But that's more or less that's a Myron of Fresh and Fit talking point. Not too sure if I've ever heard Tate opine on it, but no, to just add context to that. Or maybe you use this example. Maybe this was him. I could be mixing a couple of things up. But if a man and a woman find out, here's the hypothetical that he was using, the analogy that was put into place for this. A man and a woman both figure out that they can do this one thing for an hour and get $1,000. They can work for an hour and get $1,000 at the end of it. Women generally will work 2-3 hours, whatever it takes in order to pay their bills for a month, get enough spending, and then just, go and do it until the next time that they need some more money. Men, on the other hand, they're going to figure out how they can stay up for 24 hours at a time in order to just print money en masse forever. I know that to be true. You know that to be true, because men aren't judged by their appearance. Their primary agency has nothing to do with their looks. Sure, they can't be total disasters. Sure, they can't be weirdos where they're just going to come up to meet you and go, hi, how are you? Man's primary agency is his ability to create and distribute wealth. Imagine that. Wealth in both monetary and in other value-added ways. Tate, his brother Tristan, 34, and 2 women were arrested in Romania on December 29th on allegations of rape, human trafficking, and participating in a criminal ring that exploited women to work as sex scam girls. Exploited women to work as sex scam girls. That's very interesting, given what we know about a couple of the women that are out there that wanted to have burgeoning TikTok careers, but were trying to blackmail Andrew into just pay me 200,000 euros so I can move sister in and we can buy house and have new TikTok career. They were exploited to be sex scam girls. Yeah, okay. And then I also seen another breakdown, because I also listened to another interview last night when I was editing up a bunch of stuff. Somebody that we're going to get to very shortly in a nice thread that he has out there was also outlining that with the UK Moldovan girl, one of the 2 accusers that we know about that just have, at least shaky stories, to say the least. She was getting, of all of the profits, 25% was going to the Tates. Another 25% was staying with the company, I do believe. And then they were getting 50% of the profits. And that they had free reign to go anywhere, because 2 of the other women that spoke out that a judge ruled, and that side of the story, that really pissed me off. This is what sparked the impetus. It's like, nah, I got to find a way to work this story in. Now, check this one. We covered this the last time that it came up, the 2 girls that were brainwashed. I'll just go ahead and, pull up that story real quick. Yes, 2 women who denied being trafficked, I think their names are Jasmina and Beatrice. I think so. I do believe. They're going to be interviewed by Myron and Fresh of Fresh and Fit in the end of this week. Shout out to the homies for doing that, because that just shows impeccable character for doing that. But anyways, back to this. Yes, denied being trafficked by Andrew Tate and his brother, and insist they are willingly victims, have been brainwashed. They're brainwashed, right? Ruled by a Romanian judge. And they had to talk to a psychologist, right? Yeah. A report prepared by a clinical psychologist proved that, these girls were brainwashed. But peek this for a second. The only people that talked to that clinical psychologist, not the two women that were brainwashed. Yeah, no, this clinical psychologist, who was not court appointed either. Wasn't a court appointed clinical psychologist. Spoke to the US girl and the Moldovan girl, and based on the stories that they told the clinical psychologist, she figured out that, those girls are brainwashed. Fucking what? So they're telling the supposed victims that they've been brainwashed. And then you got flumpy ass teachers out here saying that, Andrew Tate is brainwashing society. I can't. It's almost too much to believe. It really is, man. Teachers in the United Kingdom are creating lesson plans to re-educate teenage students who have been brainwashed by misogynistic influencer. Misogynistic? He takes take care of women. That's a chauvinistic viewpoint. Now he's just an outright misogynist, right? According to a report. Tate, who is locked up in a Romanian prison, that's nice, a school in South London, gave a presentation to a group of 14-year-olds after teachers became concerned about students expressing ideas they learned from Tate, a self-described misogynist. Great, wonderful, fantastic. You know how they get that one as well? At least they aren't quoting it this time around, because, that was Tate as describing himself in a podcast interview. What was it? He was saying, how would I describe myself? Oh, well, a lot of people like to call me a self-described misogynist, but I wouldn't consider myself that. And now they start running with a self-described misogynist, these dirty bastards. The depths of depravity to which they will tap into in order to just openly lie about this guy. Because guess what? Can't fight back against any of this stuff right now. Yeah, sure, somebody has his Twitter account on autopilot right now. He might have an hour of social media time per day, and he's been behind bars for 45 days at this point in time, coming up 6 weeks. 6 weeks for certainty. Hasn't been a free man in 2023 based on what evidence? But no. You can't say Andrew Tate's name in UK schools anymore. Get this. A group of about 30 students were reportedly asked questions like, do we think Tate, is still harmless? He hasn't been charged with anything. What are we doing right here? And what happens when we take in his messages? Where was this course when Harvey Weinstein was snatched up as somebody who was banging starlets in order to give them roles and hook them up with Academy Awards and Golden Globes? Really is amazing the lengths to which they will go to censor, silence, obfuscate, and defame a guy who's just wanting men to be better. Because guess what? If men are better, there are more people to do good work with out there in the world. How about that? You have more capable brothers and sisters running around out there where you can actually turn a profit so society won't continue to just fall down the sludge pipe that it's currently on. God forbid that happens. God forbid that there's people that focus on self-development and self-improvement instead of just, I don't feel like this the certain day. And if you're up in Canada, they'll offer you, just a long walk off of a short pier. Or in the United States, you don't feel good? Well, maybe you're the other sex. This is ridiculous. Conversation quickly turned into a debate about rape. Oh, good, with about 10 students maintaining that women were responsible for their sexual assaults. A view propagated by Tate. Absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that they keep running with that is just patently absurd. Male teacher then asked the students how they would feel if one of their oh my god, how would you feel? At that point, a lot of boys changed their tones. Yeah, because you're yelling at 14-year-old boys. How would you feel if your sister got raped? I would be pretty upset. How about that? How about you'd be seeking retribution? How about you would also be asking questions to make sure that that situation also didn't happen again? How about that? This is this exact same stuff over and over again. This stuff goes in cycles. We need to teach boys not to rape. But you also need to have clear definitions on that type of stuff. Can't be having these ideas that I retract my consent because I didn't ultimately get what I wanted, which is what two of these victims in this situation seem to be. Yeah, I fucked Tate and all that stuff, and yeah, I had a great time with his brother and all that stuff, but then I couldn't get what I was trying to exploit him for. But then, yeah, actually, now that I think about it, we were basically like trafficked and stuff. Believe all women. Yuck. Oh, what do we got? Sophie Whitehead. Oh, great. Who works for the School of Sexual Education. Oh my god, I'm sure that that's an unbiased source you're getting right there, which provides workshops on consent. Oh, great. Wonderful. I wonder if it's ever purported that a woman needs to ask for consent against a man. I'm just wondering, man. Called his rhetoric violent and said that it has affected so many young people. What do you even know what he says? Does anybody, because there are very few quotes in this stuff. It's like, oh, he's basically the leader of the Fourth Reich and he deserves to be in jail. What are the charges? He's a misogynist. And, oh, okay. What does he actually say in podcasts? You just need to beat women until you can have sex with them. Sure thing. Is a version of radicalization, as far as I'm concerned, says somebody who works, like, doesn't even have a position. She just works at the School of Sexual Education, which provides which provides workshops. Okay, so you basically, it's funny because this article wants to dunk on Tate. He runs Hustlers University, where you got 18 modern wealth creations that you can use to make money online, and your average first month in the program is over $100, so you end up, the course ends up paying for itself. But you run or you work at a school that offers workshops about important things like getting affirmative consent from your partner. Good stuff. I'm sure you do that as just a public service, and all of your wares are free, definitely. The South London classroom teachers have tried to explain to their students that misogynistic jokes and rhetoric can escalate to serious crimes like Bro, this is the stupid type of thinking where violent video games will lead to school shootings. Unbelievable. Jay Jordan, a teacher from Dundee in Scotland. Bro, don't you have like a knife crime epidemic? Don't you think you have so many more difficult or more pressing issues to be talking about? Told The Times the recent interest in Tate's influence is evident among her students. Yuck. You have to deal with sexist stuff, but now it's explicitly connected to Andrew Tate. The boys do not stop talking about him. And all I want to do is talk about how I'm transitioning and nobody wants to listen to me. Jordan recalled how after she rebuked one of the students, he shot back with it as she was just a woman. Oh my god. That's something that Tate says. Are you retarded? This is so ridiculous. We've definitely gone backwards, and it's worrying. Maybe you just said something that was just particularly stupid, and instead of just rebutting it, it's just like, women, am I right? Which kind of sounds like something that, sitcoms back in the 80s would say at the same time, but hey man, whatever. The Ridgeway Education Trust, which operates 3 state schools in Oxfordshire, have been teaching lessons about Tate's rise to infamy. Take your kids out of public schools. I'm just saying, man, like, this used to be universal in Canada and the United States, but over in UK, if they're more concerned about one person on social media, one message on social media, as opposed to teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic, you've got yourself a serious problem. Every school should be addressing the Tate issue, said Goer Khan. Okay, director of Ethos and the Trust. What? Up till last year, I was wary about giving him airtime, but pupils and staff have come to me and said, why are we not talking about this? I bet you no pupils were talking about it outside of, there's a suspicious amount of women in your education department. In the lessons, Khan said they discuss why Tate has been in the news recently. Why are you talking about this? Bro, this is small talk that you make at the office, not inside the confines of a school. Our pupils are hearing all this stuff, and I feel, oh god, this is what happens, man. We moved away from empiricism, and here's another thing. This was a topic I wanted to discuss, or maybe I have. There are a bunch of videos in the can from a while back. 80% of school teachers are women. How do women process different stimuli into the world? There's 3 different ways, okay? Like, if I'm to throw a ball at you or something like that, there's 3 different ways that you process that, okay? There's the immediate reaction, okay? So you see a ball coming at your head, you either just try to, bat it out of the way, or you move out of the way. That's your base instinct, okay? So that's what ends up happening. I don't want to see Tate's nipple anymore. I'm just going to move that ahead a little bit. And then after that, you can process it through 2 different ways. As a man, there's brain scans to back this up, scientific studies theories as well. It's called the triune mind theory. Check it out if you think that I'm just making all of this stuff up. You process, men tend to process stuff through, process stimuli through rationality afterwards. Like, why did that happen? Where did it come from? Am I in continuous danger right now? Women, on the other hand, the third aspect of that, process this second after initial instinct. Emotionality. Why is this happening? What did I do? Before they start to process it through the rationality. And that's what we're seeing right here. Everything is about feelings. That's why I pointed out every single time that I see that. We used to live in a time, okay, where everything was, I know, my interpretation of this is, it would be some sort of a combination of the affirmative. Now, you're just in the passive voice. Oh, I kind of feel like in the vibes of this place, and it's just, like we're chilling together. There's nothing concrete. There's nothing that you can pin anybody down on. This is subversive language, and that's how we've gotten to this point, at least in my approximation. And then in another round of propaganda, now that we're moving on from the schools, now we're coming up with a new strange allegation, which is kind of funny. Very funny if you take a look at who's making said allegation. Well, not even who specifically, it's just some blonde that's out there. It's like, okay, wonderful, fantastic. Are you going to say that, oh, Tate hit me up on DMs, blah, 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 all that stuff. But Andrew Tate messaged underage girls. Doesn't really seem like his style, but maybe it was, okay, they purported themselves to be 18, 19 years old, and then actually they were in the cut, like 16 and 17 years old. And then also knowing some of his other statements, and it's like, yeah, they were underage, and immediately cut that stuff out. It's like, yeah, that's what ends up happening, okay? Sometimes you make a mistake, and if you lean into it, like some of the weirdos that are out there, that's a problem. Unless, of course, you're on the left, then they'll just say that, oh no, you're just a minor attracted person, and that's totally fine. But if you're on the right, even if you just find out and it's like, nope, sorry, I'm leaving, nope, see you in a couple years time. Outside of that, nope, have nothing to do with you at all whatsoever. Then you can still be called a pedo. It's so weird. We're just in this middle ground right now, where it's anybody who diddles a kid or goes down that dark path. Hey man, there's a ton of rope that's out there and a bunch of empty light standards, at least in my opinion. But peek this, daughter of prominent Romanian political figure claims. Prominent Romanian political figure. The Tates are being held on no evidence right now. On what kind of charges? Very shaky charges, to say the least. And now you have a daughter of a prominent Romanian political figure. You can't make this stuff up. You absolutely can't. Daughter of prominent Romanian politician claims disgraced influencer Andrew Tate contacted her and several classmates when they were young teens, trying to lure them with a promise of a date. I was contacted by Andrew Tate, the older of the Tate brothers. We know. Tristan's 34. Great. There's 2 years separation. Fantastic. 3 years ago when I was just 16. Okay, do you have the conversation? Okay, was this just a mass situation where he peeked your Instagram, was like, oh, bet, and then, figured out that, oh, you were 16? Oop, sorry about that. I was a bit surprised. Anyway, oh no, her name is Daria Goosa, told a Romanian journalist, Josefina Pascal. Sure thing, man. Okay. I was a bit surprised because I had just made my Instagram account. I had a couple hundred followers. It just shows you, man, how women play the internet on easy mode. You can get hit up by a multi-millionaire with a private jet, 28, 27, a whole dozens of supercars, and you have a couple hundred followers. Holy. And the fact that you just started your Instagram and you have a couple hundred followers. Yo, man, took me months to get 100 subs on YouTube. Months. Anyways, Romanian prosecutors allege Tate and his brother. Yo, can we get to any of this stuff? Okay, if that's the stuff that you're posting, okay, if that was one of the pictures that Tate sent a feeler out on, she could either be, 18 or 25. I don't blame him. Absolutely not. Brothers, whatever, are we going to get to this? Okay, Goosa, the daughter of the Romanian politician and journalist Cosmin Goosa. Oh, okay, a Romanian politician and a journalist, and the daughter just magically comes forward with these allegations from several years ago. Does this sound just all too perfect of a situation? I don't know, man. Told Pascal she was suspicious when Tate reached out to her and didn't pursue a conversation with him. Okay, so he reached out. Great. Fantastic. And yo, that's the profile. Instagram user. It's like, yeah, okay, his account's been banned. Here's the entirety of the conversation, allegedly. July 4th, 2020, Romanian girl, strawberry. He's talked about, using different fruit emojis. He used, I think that was on Fresh and Fit when he said, I just send a bitch cherries. And it's like, why do you send cherries? It's because girls love cherries. It's like, yeah, no, that makes sense. It's an icebreaker. And yeah, so yeah, that's totally legit. I 100% believe that. Now, her Instagram is private, but managed to pull up a Facebook account. And then there was also some sort of, rarely used Twitter account. But I was just trying to peek any of the pictures that, hey, man, we could have just ran an experiment on. But here's Facebook. This picture was changed in September 9th, 2021. Okay. Not before and not after has there been any assertion that Tate's a creep in that sense. So I just think that this is an opportunistic message by the daughter of a politico and a journalist. Come on, man. But now the big guns are starting to come out. It's kind of ratcheting up, like the Jordan Peterson situation back in 2016, 2017, where he was just making the podcast rounds, speaking his stuff and, just spitting straight facts at the time. But then all of a sudden, then the heavy hitters started to come out. Then the GQs, the Channel 4s, all of that stuff started to come out. And now, well, Peterson could at least defend himself in a back and forth setting. Tate, on the other hand, has no way to fight back. He's the kickboxer without hands and feet right now. He's just getting lambasted by The Guardian. No, it's a trash organization, but it does have some sort of prominence that's out there. And now, the truth about Andrew Tate, his home is less Hollywood hideaway and more rundown meat factory. Because that's funny. That's very, very funny because we've seen inside of it, and people who have been there can also attest to it's not run down at all. It's very nice, in fact. But we'll just read a little bit of this, and I'll link to the rest of it because it's actually a pretty beefy boy article. Like, it's a fairly extensive, but then at the same time, when you got to go into such detail, it's like, what is top G? It's street gang, or street slang. G stands for gangster. Oh, thanks, Mom. I'm so glad you could figure that out. Andrew Tate used to cruise along the scruffy suburban streets about 10 miles from the center of Bucharest in Romania, past a litter dump and a sprawling cemetery, and a line of semis that would have not looked out of place in a TV soap, Brookside. The local reference, I guess. Rolling by in his Lamborghinis or Bugatti or any other of a fleet of supercars, puffing a cigar and adjusting his Michael Corleone sunglasses. No, they're custom-made stuff. Beating his tattooed chest at the red light. I don't think he was doing that, but okay. Tate, who likes to call himself Top G, well, it's a pretty catchy nickname if we're being completely honest, says he's done nothing wrong. He might look and behave like a gangster. He might have boasted of gangsterous pursuits and claims to have made billions of dollars. Is there anything legal about that? But now, as a current guest of a Romanian penal system, he says he's not an actual gangster at all. He says he's a good guy. He's always said he's a good guy. Like, what are we doing here? His arrest on December 29th by armed members of Romania's anti-corruption unit and a fair amount of the media. Just very strange ended up happening. Officers wearing balaclavas stormed Tate's compound, strange, by cover of night, and say that they found guns, knives. Some of them were embedded into a table, but they're very scary. And a sword and large sums of cash. What exactly is large? Okay. 2 Romanian women, Georgiana and former police officer called Luana Radu Alexandra. I didn't know she had a first name, but I guess she just goes by her second. Were also detained. The 4 were suspect of being part of a human trafficking group, although they say they are innocent. Young, disaffected men began to follow him in their droves, and they wanted more. Tate responded by ramping up the controversy on social media. He would talk about beating women and grabbing them by the neck. You guys want context on that one? Okay, because that one right there, it's a very, very, very funny clip. Okay, if your girl catches you cheating, she comes in with a machete, she starts waving it around going, so what do you do in that situation? You smack the machete out of her hand, you grip her up by the neck, and you go slap, 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 sex. That's the entire context of it. It's a fucking joke. And it's, how do you defend yourself against the machete attack from a jealous girlfriend? Wow! A little bit different than saying that you just run around and fuck the kills that you get out on the street. A bit different, huh? Then in 2017, he declared that women, again, the same thing. Unsurprisingly, he was banned from all the major social media platforms in 2022. But he said that in 2017. Interesting. banned in 2022, but do we know why? No, we don't. No idea whatsoever. Kind of like the Eliza Blue situation where, yeah, you're banned off Twitter because you broke one of our rules. Which one did you break? One of the rules. All right, then. The last couple of years, it is Tate's followers, not the man himself, who have helped grow his presence on TikTok. No. TikTok banned his official account. Didn't have an account. Then came from all social classes, creeds, and countries having publicly converted to Islam in October of last year. Tate was recently seen carrying a copy of the Quran to court in Romania, boosting his popularity among young Islamic men. Well, he had always been sympathetic, or at least recognized the stability of Islam, something that is very apparent, especially how you take a look at Western society and how it purports to uphold Judeo-Christian values, or at least that's what it's based on. And if they were doing any of that stuff, there wouldn't be tranny pastors and Catholic churches. You wouldn't be governing society around a concept that love is love. You would be adhering to a set of principles and laws that you had passed or had been adopting from a sacred text. What society is actually doing that? Oh, that would be Islamic states. Oh, interesting. Some of those places take the words a little bit more literally, but you also look at places like the UAE and Qatar, and they seem awfully prosperous. And they're all Islamic countries. Schools in the UK are so concerned about Tate's radicalization of their students that teachers are being given guidance on how to combat his misogynistic views. Which ones are those exactly? Yeah, if you've been following along with the Eliza Blue stuff that I've been doing, the Eliza Blue Timcast stuff, if we're going to be a little bit more specific, this article is kind of written in Gonzo Journalism style, and it's actually done correctly because this guy's talking about how he's going back and forth from the Tate place, relaying some of his kind of edited thoughts when it comes to listening to some of the Tate content. That's the type of stuff. It's a little bit more sympathetic in tone, and maybe it'll just maybe it'll play a little bit better to society now that it's been reformatted, because just the straight hate that's been coming out of the media, well, it hasn't really done all that much, especially the way the BBC has been running a hit piece, because holy, Andrew Tate was violent and coercive, says ex-girlfriend. Ex-girlfriend. Ooh, which one are we talking about right here? Is she part of the case? Well, yes, she is. Peek this. A British woman. Oh, the Moldovan girl. Very interesting. Oh, the former stripper with a drug addict who was trying to blackmail Tate for 200,000 euros. Interesting. Says she was in a relationship with controversial social media influencer Andrew Tate, and has told the BBC how he's encouraged her to work for his webcam company before becoming controlling and violent. It's very, very funny, because in this article right here, this BBC article came out a couple of days ago. This one is actually just hot off the presses, so it's funny. Tate's voice fills my car. Like I said, this guy's telling some personal anecdotes just peppered into the story as well. Tate's voice fills my car. He's explaining how to recruit women who are reluctant to undress in front of a camera. Very interesting. Very interesting that you have that in there as well. It's very difficult because I don't feel like a victim. All the choices I made were on my own free will. He didn't bundle me up into a bag, throw me in the back of a lorry, and drive me there, says Sophie. I know you willingly went over there. You tried to get a relationship with him, and things didn't end up working out the way that you thought they would. Now you just blackmailed him, and then you went on a vacation into the French Riviera that you used all of your profits that you made while working for Tate. Very interesting. Andrew Tate and his brother. Yeah, we know all that stuff. Sophie, not her real name. Is it Dara, or is that the other one? Says this is exactly what happened to her. She is now helping prosecutors with their investigation, even though she's not in the country. But hey, man, whatever. It's so wild. You're not supposed to leave the country during this investigation, but Miss Miami and Miss Moldova, UK, London stripper, just decided to, peace out from Romania. Don't worry, we'll contact you when we need to figure some stuff out. Maybe get the extension on keeping Tate brothers, Georgiana and Luana, kept up. Okay, don't call us, we'll call you. Have fun out there. You go be strong, believe all women. She told BBC Radio 4 program File on 4 that Tate approached her completely out of the blue on Facebook and was very charming. Did he say London girl and then send you an emoji of a shepherd's pie? I don't know. Or rain cloud. Could be that. He was sort of luring me into believing that he was somebody that I could trust and someone that genuinely wanted to build a connection with me, she explains. Was this before or after you were popping pussy and shaking ass on TikTok inside the Tate compound and partying and going to luxury hotel rooms and going to and fro and just being able to have complete access to the entire place? I'm just wondering, just clarify me a little bit. I was at stage in my life where everyone felt a little bit boring and a bit dull, and this idea of an adventure seemed attractive. Hey, you were gonna get flued out by somebody a multi-millionaire who has an exhaustive, copulent lifestyle. Of course, it seemed exciting, and oh boy, what great travel I could have. Couple of times he'd say to me, you shouldn't do it. You should do it. You'd make a fortune, but you don't have to do it if you don't want to. I make enough money, Sophie says. That's very interesting. Haven't mentioned the fact that she was a stripper in the UK, but he was always reminding me that the option was there. Oh, it sounds like brainwashing. Oh my God. That if you want to work for me, you can. Oh my God. Reminded me, oh yeah, that there's an option. Progressed into, if you love me, you would do it. Yeah, this is a little bit different than just beating you about the back of the head and then just making you take your tits out on camera. Just a bit of a difference. If you care about me, you would do it. We can make all the money. It's funny because women do this every single day. Oh, I thought we were friends. That's why you should pick up the tab when we go on a date. Girls still want all that boyfriend energy when they're out just hanging with their guy friends. But when a guy runs it back, oh my God, now all of a sudden it's worthy of criminal investigation. Okay. And over time, just chipping away at me, eventually he made me think, maybe he's right. Maybe I should be doing it. And then you did it because it's such a far leap from being a stripper to being on webcam. It actually seems a little bit safer, if we're being completely honest. Sophie had worked in the adult entertainment industry before. Oh, now we finally get to it after we've already poisoned the well. So she was open to the suggestion. In a now deleted page on his website, Tate describes how he operated his webcam business. His account chimes with Sophie in many ways. He describes his job as to meet a girl, go on a few dates, sleep with her, get her to fall in love with me, and to where she'd do anything I say. And what's illegal about that? The video continues, and then get her on webcam so we could become rich together. Yeah, you don't really break down the splits here. Oh no, she does. Oh Lord. See, yeah, we could become rich together. Sophie says that she earned around 800 euros for 6 hours of work. Let me run that back one more time, just for you idiots in the back. 800 euros. 800. No, I'm sorry, that's pounds sterling. Let me reiterate that for myself. I'm not calling you guys that are watching this idiots. It's just for the people that continue to say that Tate's a trafficker. You're an idiot. 800 pounds sterling for 6 hours of work. What else could you... 6 hours, 800 pounds. From which Tate would take 50%. She got 400 euros. Even if I keep saying euros, it's pounds. She got 400 pounds. 400 pounds. Does that sound like trafficking? Does it sound like, yeah, he's beating them about the head. He's keeping them chained. They can't even go anywhere. It almost sounds like, yep, he fucked you, gave you a business opportunity, and now you're just mad that it's over? She added that rough sex turned into something she had not consented to. Oh my God. And most of the violence was sexual. That's obviously something that he's into. He likes to feel completely in control of women and to feel like he could take their lives away at any second. But did he? It's funny how they're talking about all this sex stuff, and then the first thing that you see is the BBC has seen messages, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. I bet you the BBC has seen a lot about this bitch. I was so intent on just wanting to please him and wanting him to be happy. Very interesting. Again, I had to do this. Investigators in Romania have confirmed that 6 women have been identified as potential victims of trafficking. And again, 2 of them, Moldovan, UK girl right here, she's one of them. You got the Miami girl who was being so oppressed and so trafficked that she went out to the road, got a pizza, came back, and then only made some kind of startling claims when her boyfriend figured out, hey, why are you over at the Tate's place? And she's like, oh my God, I'm being trafficked. Interesting. And then 2 of the other girls, Jasmina and Beatrice, yeah, they're the ones saying that, oh yeah, no, we're actually not victims, and those are the ones that the court says, no, actually, you've been brainwashed, don't worry about it. But if that's the standard that the BBC and the Romanian courts are adhering to when it comes to what constitutes trafficking, it seems just a touch unjust. Sophie says that some of these women who Tate genuinely treated well, while others were still under his control. Interesting. Very interesting. But now to cap this off, because I've given you my opinion on this, and obviously I'd like to see if I'm not completely off base. We have the independent journalist, Suleiman Ahmed, somebody who's also worked, and I think we've made mention of his work beforehand, but he's also been, making the rounds on podcast tours, just trying to disseminate the information the best in which he perceives it. He's done a pretty good job breaking down all the stuff as well, okay? And he has no dog in this race. He didn't know who Tate was until he looked at this, and it's like, oh, a lot of people are saying that this is kind of unjust. Let me apply my trade to this in order to figure out if there's anything that's wrong with it. And well, he's come out and pretty much found out that, everything's about as sus as you thought it is. So he's got this nice little thread right here that we'll read through real quickly. Andrew Tate and a BBC exposed too. That was the article that we just referenced. It's clear from the BBC headpiece that a relationship where a couple split up in a normal manner was instead presented as something nefarious to further their agenda. It is clearly an attempt by the mainstream media to create a society where men live in fear. Exactly. You can just go ahead and pick a girl up, fly her out, fuck her, offer her a job, and then all of a sudden when she doesn't get what she wants, then you can get snatched up and thrown in jail for 2 months at a time. Wonderful society we live in. I had interactions with Peter Kenyon. Is that the motherfucker who wrote this screed? Not entirely sure who this guy is. Okay, in my previous thread, which when questions about the chopping snippets and out of context clips, he disappeared / failed to respond. Okay, this is the modus operandi of the mainstream media. Spout out allegations, insinuations, and see why they are unable to verify their claim. Yeah, exactly. I have clearly identified instances where you have used chopped out of context and edited videos in your documentary. Care to comment on the specific instances of these violations? Oh, okay. Now we have a couple of clips, it seems like here, that we can use to fill in a couple of blanks that we might have glossed over in a couple of the other articles that we looked at as well. Now let's move on to the allegations, which seem to be a relationship that didn't work out well. She clearly says that the decision was made. The decisions she made were based on her own free will. Interesting. It looks like, he's talking with Rich Cooper. So, okay, what's he on about?
It's very difficult because I don't feel like a victim.
Oh.
I mean, all the choices I made were of my free will.
Oh, this is the former stripper. Oh, that's tough. All the decisions I made were my own free will.
He didn't, bundle me up in a bag, throw me in the back of a lorry and drive me there.
I mean, do we need...
Yeah, exactly. I think I kind of pointed that out when we read it to begin with. Yeah, you didn't do anything, but you know what I felt like, March.
Of that emotion and
okay, BBC are propagating an extreme feminist world. Yeah, sure seems like that. Where if any relationship breaks down, the woman can claim that everything she did was based on love. Yep, emotions over rationality. Don't y'all love to see it? And therefore, she had no personal autonomy. I pointed this out so many times recently because I think that it's intrinsically true. Women want to be the drivers and passenger of the car that is their life. Simultaneously, they're the strong, independent boss babe that don't need no man, and everything that they can do better than a man, and it doesn't even matter at all whatsoever. But then consequently, whenever anything goes wrong in their direction, well, then they're just, just the damsel in distress. They didn't know any better. Oh my God, society groomed me. Yeah, all of that type of nefarious stuff. A totalitarian society where men should live in fear, submit, or be incarcerated. Fair enough. I don't think we need to play that clip out. I think we know what we have there. She spent months in Romania believing she was Tate's girlfriend. For example, of the bias narrative, any normal person knows she was his girlfriend. They even engaged in the cam business. It doesn't negate their relationship. Where's the evidence that they weren't a couple? Exactly. They spent months together at the place. They were fucking. Anybody would understand that they at least had some sort of a romantic sexual relationship. Call it whatever you want, boyfriend, girlfriend, all the way up to and including some sort of a short-term common law marriage, whatever you want to call it. Because she's going so far as to say that this was some sort of coercive behavior. I don't think so. Another example of the woman making her own decisions and being in a normal relationship. She says her life was boring and she was looking for an adventure. She traveled to Romania and was attracted by Andrew Tate's lifestyle. So if your relationship ends, the man will pay. Yep. She also claims that during the early stages of the relationship, Andrew Tate disappeared for 5 days. He went on a business tour I would imagine. Why didn't she leave? She said that she was alone and Tate wasn't there. No, I was being trafficked. I loved him and I didn't want to leave. I knew that I would face retribution. I wouldn't have an opportunity to cash that 200,000 euro check. So even though they frame it as control, in reality, she still had ample opportunity to leave. Yep. She was a stripper, pole dancer, though MSM wants you to think that Tate lured women into the business. The revelations are clear that these women were already part of the sex industry. Yeah, he didn't pick no virgin off of the countryside. He was like, oh, stripper? Great, wonderful, fantastic. Targeted? Maybe. Coercive? Yeah, I don't really think so. In this case, her interaction with men was physical as opposed to being behind a camera. I would also think that's, pretty smart when it comes to picking out, potential people to be working for you in said industry. Mostly because they already kind of know the gimmick. They already kind of know how to sweet talk a guy in person, and some of those skills can go ahead and translate over the camera as well. And Instagram in today's day and age, it's kind of like sending out your resume for any sort of a relationship or business opportunity. So if she's putting herself out there as a stripper, well, I don't know what else to tell you. Once again, Paul Kenyon attempting to dramatize a common Western kink. When I responded to him about the erotic asphyxiation, oh yeah, choking girls? Yeah, that happens a lot, and a non-insignificant portion of the population is very much into that. Unfortunately, being accepted in Western liberalism, he once again was unable to respond. Yo, here's some of the info from a medical journal. Okay, what is the context? Strangle a woman until she's unconscious. Well, not to that point. You never go that far, but okay. Unfortunately, there are liberal sexual practices that I find distasteful, such as aforementioned erotic asphyxiation and even fisting. Yo, I was not anticipating that. As featured in 50 Shades of Grey. Yes, super haram. Sadly, sexual asphyxiation aims for euphoria preceding unconsciousness. However, as long as there is consent, nothing is wrong about that at all whatsoever. These clips are clear examples that the woman consented and there is no trafficking, with comments such as, why didn't you... oh, you didn't have to do it if you didn't want to, and we will build this together. Oh... What's worse is when the relationship ended, she said that she decided to leave. No, she was being trafficked. Shut up. This is bigoted. Stop it. So when there was no control or force, Andrew Tate did not stop her from leaving. Once again, this defeats the entire concept of trafficking. So to recap, they had a relationship. She consented. She had opportunities to leave. She was in love. It didn't work out, and she left. When the BBC, mainstream media, or the Matrix are able to take a somewhat normal relationship and use it to make a false allegations, well, the woman has as well. Or control, one should be afraid. As members of the global society, as men, we should be afraid. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm just going to know the pitfalls that are out there and speak up against this injustice, because you want to know what else is super unjust right now, man? Tristan's got a kid. And he's also got a new kid as well. Apparently, he's got a 3-week-old that's out there that he's never met before. He has a daughter or a son out in the world that he doesn't know. He's never met before because he's being incarcerated for absolutely no reason at all whatsoever. A couple of spurned lovers, 2 women that we don't even know if they exist or not. And 2 others, well, their stories kind of speak for themselves now, don't they? Here's a man that's being deprived access to his child, to his young daughter, to his brand new bouncing baby that's out there. 3 other people are involved in this situation. Andrew gets all the headlines, but there are 2 women that are there that are just being used as political pawns in order to crack, in order to flip on the Tate brothers. But they haven't done anything wrong. Not that I can see, not that you can see, but the media wants to paint a very different story. I'm not going to let them. I don't think you are either. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.